The Walking Dead Season 11 Episode 7 gave us a very unique Walking Dead episode where Eugene played detective and tried to solve the mystery of where is Stephanie. What's going on, Walking Dead fans? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, The Viking. Make sure you give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for a brand new video every single day. And yesterday, we actually got some very interesting Walking Dead universe news. They announced Isle of the Dead, a Walking Dead spin-off series with Maggie and Negan, which will take place in New York City for 6 episodes in 2023. I'm very excited for that, and to hear my quick thoughts, go check out my previous video on the channel where I talk about that. But let's get into The Walking Dead, the main show, which is ending this year, unfortunately, but the universe is far from dead. Did you like that pun? Yeah, pretty good. Okay, so this episode right here, episode 11, was very unique and very different. And we followed Eugene. Eugene's a great kind of interesting personality of a character. You know, he's funny and he has great one-liners and stuff like that, but he's never at the forefront. He's never one of the main characters, but he's a very interesting character that has been developed since he was introduced to us in the series back in season 4, season 5. And look, Eugene is the reason we're at the Commonwealth right now, because over the radio he got to talk to this woman Stephanie, and they had this connection, they had similar interests. And then Ezekiel, and we had Princess, and we had Yumiko went with Eugene to find Stephanie, and of course they found the Commonwealth, which is a community that is thriving. You know, it has this kind of class system, but everybody is safe, everyone has kind of good shelter, food and stuff like that to a degree. And we always kind of theorized that the Stephanie we met in real life was different from the Stephanie that Eugene talked to over the radio, because the voice was different and there was something off with this new Stephanie. And people kind of theorized as well that Max, the assistant to Pamela, is actually the real Stephanie, because the way she was looking at Eugene, the way she was just kind of, she looked kind of sketchy at times as well. And in this episode we follow the loving relationship between Eugene and Stephanie, and everything is going perfect. And then Eugene tells Stephanie, I love you, and she says it back, and they're going to move in together. And then Stephanie goes missing. A big mystery kind of happens in this episode as well. We also have a side story with Mercer, you know, his kind of approach to the way the Commonwealth do business. Connie is a journalist at the Commonwealth, and she's asking some very tough questions towards Mercer. She thinks there's more to Tyler, who is talking about this revolution against the Commonwealth and talking about the different classes and stuff like that. So a lot of interesting stuff in this episode, and I do like the Commonwealth storyline so far. I don't trust the Commonwealth. I don't like, you know, Sebastian, Pamela, or any of the other characters apart from Mercer. Mercer is pretty cool. I like him as a character big time, but there's something shady about the Commonwealth, and I just can't pinpoint my finger on it. But as the episodes go on, we will learn even more about this community, and especially Lance, who in this episode we find out is very, very sleazy. But this review comes from entertainmentweekly.com. They go through the episode, they break it down. We will go through it as well, talk about what we like and don't like about the episode, but I enjoyed it because it's unique and different for the Walking Dead universe. The mystery has arguably already begun, but the Rogue Element episode gives Eugene his own Deep Throat style quest for the truth. Meanwhile, Connie is chasing a lead of her own. Is it all connected? Probably. Will there be satisfying twists and riveting turns? Most of it seems rather expected. We already know Lance Hornsby is tired of living under Pamela Milton's thumb. He mentions to Carol this episode that he's been playing the long game with the Miltons, having earned their trust somehow a long time ago. We also got the impression previously that he has plans of his own to reshape the Commonwealth. More of that gets revealed this week with the unveiling of what is basically the city's deep state. Stephanie, it turns out, isn't really Stephanie. She's an agent of some kind named Shura, who was tasked by Lance to cozy up to Eugene as a means of extracting information about Alexandria and getting his people to join the Commonwealth. When Eugene professed his love for the woman he thought was Stephanie, Lance decided to end the mission and pulled her out. But her disappearance set a distraught Eugene on a path to find her, which led him to a plumber named Calhoun, who's also a member of Lance's secret society, confronting the puppet master at his base of operations. Eugene promises to out him to the public, but Lance is confident it won't amount to anything. Eugene and Princess got caught snooping around Calhoun's apartment, and Eugene had to sign a statement attesting to his paranoia and mental distress. Adding intrigue is the reveal at the end that Max, who we know as Pamela's secretary, comes to Eugene and says she's the one he was speaking with all this time over the radio prior to entering the Commonwealth. What will she have to say about the goings on in the city and the political agendas of the various players, and why is she only now coming to Eugene? Meanwhile, Lance is making moves outside the Commonwealth walls. With Carol doing favours for him, he takes her to a gang of smugglers he's been working with to make poppies. The Commonwealth needs them to make opium for the hospital, but it also means Lance has to deal with a man named Moto, who's the drug kingpin. The smugglers have gone on strike, demanding they receive raises for their work. Carol learns that Moto is pocketing the extra money and beating his lieutenants to keep quiet. She relays this to Lance, and he promptly removes Moto from the equation. This leads to more questions. Why did Lance need to get rid of Moto? Will he appoint Carol to head the poppy smugglers? What's the play here? The other big ongoing mystery, of course, centres around Tyler Davis, the former Commonwealth soldier who made a scene at the gala event. But Connie is working on her Diane Sawyer investigation and surely will uncover some truths. The Commonwealth's newspaper is covering up what happened at the gala when Tyler took Max hostage and claimed there's an uprising afoot amongst the lower class. I wouldn't be surprised if Lance is fueling that uprising to unseat Pamela and claims mayorhood of the Commonwealth. Despite urgings from her editor, Connie can't drop the story. She spots Mercer going to see Tyler under armed guard in the hospital later when she's assigned to cover a ride along with the soldiers on patrol. She questions him about it, revealing that she knows Max is Mercer's sister. Wonder what Big Brother will have to say about any romantic feelings between Max and Eugene. But it seems Mercer is just as out of the loop on the Tyler situation as everyone. Connie's questioning clearly made an impression on him, and he goes back to the hospital to see Tyler, who has mysteriously vanished from the premises along with the guards, even though he wasn't supposed to be moved without Mercer's say-so. So that seemed like a very simple episode, but there was actually a lot in it, to be honest with you. The Carol stuff, the Connie stuff, Mercer, Eugene hunting down Stephanie, what exactly is going on with Lance. Like, what is that operation that Lance has going with these super spies or bounty hunters? I'm not too sure. And Stephanie, who's Shira, was a completely different person when she was out of the sky. So that's very interesting. What will Max have to say about it? Carol as well. Of course, Carol is using Lance and she's working very closely with him to get help for Ezekiel. But Carol is very smart, and I'm sure she'll play the game long enough. I think it was funny how Lance said he's been playing the long game with the Miltons. Carol is doing the exact same thing to Lance as well, and that's pretty awesome. And Mercer is well regarded in the community of the Commonwealth. You know, he's a big guy, he's one of the high official officers, but it looks like even he doesn't have that much power when it comes to the political kind of movements of the Commonwealth. When Tyler was moved without his say-so, and maybe, I don't know if he's killed, but put somewhere else because of what he did at the gala, and also this big conspiracy that there might be an uprising within the Commonwealth. And it's actually very interesting that Lance might be the one who is the head of this uprising to unseat Pamela. So I actually like this stuff. Look, it's not as entertaining as Rick Grimes taking down zombies or Negan, but it's actually interesting and it's different for The Walking Dead. It's like a political thriller right now with zombies, which is awesome, and it's actually really good. And I think this episode was directed by the actor who played Abraham, Michael Kudlitz, I think that's how you say his name. I thought this episode looked beautiful at times, some great shots, and well directed. I think he's been given some very simple episodes, but he makes them into very interesting, compelling stories. And here, the acting from the actor who plays Eugene, Josh McDermott, I think, he was brilliant. Really well done in this episode. That scene broke me where he is waiting for his date with Stephanie, he has the ice creams ready, the day is nice, everyone's happy, and then we have like a time skip and he's sad and the day is kind of over and it's dark, nearly dark time, and the ice creams have melted. That's a very striking image right there as well, and this big, conspiracy looking for clues and stuff like that. He had his board about who might be the suspects, and it was very interesting, and Eugene was right, and he brought Princess into it as well, and then Princess thought he was crazy because Lance appeared in the prison and said, look, what you see here is not real whatsoever. Stephanie does not love you, that's why she left. But Eugene digged a little bit deeper and he actually found out the truth, and he was distraught and he was very sad, and Lance played with his emotions, but Lance's response was like, well, didn't you play me? Didn't your people play us to get into the Commonwealth? And look how happy you all now are. So yeah. But I still think Eugene should tell the group, because what they did was very different than what Lance did, because they're right to be very wary of the Commonwealth because they could be bad people, and they also want good for their people. They want to have a nice place to live, so it's not as bad as them kind of trying to get into the Commonwealth as Lance getting a woman to pretend to be in love with somebody to get information about Alexandria. So that was messed up, hurting Eugene's feelings. But then Eugene did sign that kind of form that says that, yeah, he was delusional. So if anything is brought up in court, or if Eugene tries to expose it on a bigger scale, Lance has to just say, look at this paper here, Eugene signed it, he was delusional. So it is Lance's word against Eugene. So it's going to be interesting to see what Eugene does in response to this. Eugene isn't the coward we first met, but he is very smart, and just like Lance is doing with the Miltons and like Carol is doing with Lance, Eugene will play the long game as well, and I'm sure he will get his revenge. Remember, back in season 8, the big war, he did rig the bullets, which ended up beating the Sabres and helped Rick and all that gang get the win against Negan. So yeah, Eugene, he may look like he's going one way, but he's always thinking a different way than what it's presented. So I thought this episode was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I like the political agendas of the Commonwealth and how the class differences are. So that's interesting to me with zombies. So it's cool. So I cannot wait to watch next week's episode, review it for you guys. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. You get into the comment section, let me know your thoughts about The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 11. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you like the Commonwealth storyline? I'm really enjoying it right now. Or maybe you just want to see Negan and Daryl out there fighting zombies. I'm liking the mix of it all, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you for next week's review. And if not, there's other videos that come to the channel every other day. Not just Walking Dead, but DC, Marvel reviews, all that kind of good movie and TV talk, guys. Appreciate it. See you in the next video.